The next generation in mobile technology is defined in a standard known as 5G. It is expected to provide internet connections at least 40 times faster and with at least 4 times more coverage worldwide than the current standard, which is known as 4G LTE or 4G Lite. It's all due to a massive FCC spectrum release, plus new advances in wireless technologies. And my mobile intelligentsia tell me that 5G is gonna blow you away. For those of us in the mobile communication ecosystem, a couple things. The technology has been advancing at a speed that none of us can reckon with, really, both on the concept of wireless mobility as well as high-resolution video and just the 3D environment that's being created. And that's why 5G is so important. When I bought this 128 gigabytes iPhone a couple of years ago, people thought I was mad, but as it turned out, it's been a godsend, especially for the high-resolution work I've been doing. Early this year at the NYU testing labs in New York, I saw data on these 5G test systems being transmitted at this blazing speed of 10 gigabytes per second. Amazing stuff. And now we're going to go into a little bit more detail in the video. This new technology is called millimeter wave radio spectrum. And you have to look at it as a new technology that is obviously paired with the fact that the FCC, in its infinite wisdom, has decided to release tons and tons of additional spectrum, normally spectrum that would have been released for other commercial, maybe even military uses. What that means is that we're going to have a mobile technology that is going to work almost 100% faster than all the mobile technology we're all using, the people around me right now. It's a complicated technology, and I want to walk you through it in the following series of graphics. Higher frequencies carry significantly more data, and they are also far more easily blocked by stuff like buildings, foliage, and sometimes even rain. So the problem has been that their use for mobile communications has become quite challenging. Some existing systems actually use these frequencies for fixed point-to-point wireless connections, but they have to have clear lines of sight. But what's been happening is kind of rather marvelous. There have been some advances in signal processing, some advances in chips, and some actually very, very cool antenna technologies being developed by companies like Samsung, AT&T, Verizon, Ericsson, and a bunch of others. So they've been able to use this spectrum to develop next-generation mobile connectivity. I previously mentioned NYU, and those and other demonstrations across the country have shown how what's called millimeter wave signals can be used for mobile communications, and they get around the biggest problems, which is being blocked by objects that come between the transmitter and the receiver. It's quite complex, but let me simplify it for you if I can. What we have here are arrays of tiny antennas on chips or on miniature circuit boards. And they can literally steer a signal in specific directions and mitigate this downside. And in this world that we live in, this is known as phased array. And to give you an example, I recently saw a demonstration by Samsung, and they have prototyped a 32 antenna phased array in a handheld wireless device, yes. And Samsung, Ericsson, and Nokia all have equipment that are preparing for similar trials. Telecom analysts tell me that we should probably see these phones within the next 2 to 5 years, and a representative from Samsung recently told me that they're shooting to have something done by 2020, which is basically the next major Summer Olympics. What's interesting about these particular phones, especially the chips, are as follows. Number one, the new chip being designed is being designed in such a way that you're going to be able to not only increase monumentally your data consumption, but in a way that your battery is not in effect reduced battery power. The second most important thing about these chips is that they're being overlaid with a whole new series of technologies, a very specialized antenna system. What does that do? Does two things. Number one, it conserves energy consumption, and number two, it basically improves your connection time across the entire ecosystem of mobile. These are incredible developments for anybody who's heavy duty into data consumption on their phone, and we all know we're moving toward that. But it means that it's going to increase the ability to do some really funky things in the 3D environment, as well as look at some very, very cool high-definition videos on your mobile phone. I could talk to you endlessly this afternoon about this, but you know something? I got something much more important to do.